in which we are going to evaluate the request for cancellation. We will typically start with various ENI, inquiry and investigation message. Our focus will be more around the request for cancellation. We will first understand how in the MT and SWIFT GPI this request for cancellation works, how the approach has been enhanced over the time, and how it will work in ISO 20022 world in the last one. So let's move to the next slide to understand the EAI messages. When any problem happen or maybe any mistake happen, maybe from the customer a mistake happened or the machine has done something wrong while doing the transaction, it may be unintentionally sent or wrongly sent, then there come the concept of request for cancellation. So that is the business derivation behind that. A lot of message has been prescribed under the ENI by the ISO, but we will see how it is going to use in the CBPR plus in the upcoming release. But as of now, let's evaluate few of them, how it is prescribed by ISO 20022 and how it is happening in MT. So just take the one example of request for cancellation. The message uses typically 192 or 292 based upon the original messages 1 series or 2 series. Well, this has been categorized in multiple format or multiple type in ISO, each having a dedicated purpose. So one is request for cancellation, that is in general for cancellation purpose. Then there is unable to apply CAM 26, claim non-receipt 27, CAM 87 request for modify. Unable to apply typically mean they have received the message but they are not able to give the credit because of some reason they need more document and all. So they will inquire with the bank. Claim non-receipt, they are saying we have not received it at all. Request to modify is modifying the content of transaction. Currently, it may be restricted with some particular information, but depending upon the use case or how the SWIFT want to do it, it can be for the multiple information. Just for information in SEPA world, it is only used for modifying the value date. In SEPA world, 27 and 87 is used. 26 is not in use in SEPA world, but it is currently used in TCH RTP in USA. So these are there in general in ISO. How the MT will use, we will see over the time when the CBPR release comes. CAM 56 is in general available or applicable for credit transfer as well as direct debit. Well, but we will see in the CBPR plus how it is taken care or it will be used for which of the product. Now about the responses in MT world, the answer was given using the 196 or 296 depending upon how it has been requested, and maybe the free format as well. So there was no one fixed reply format. It can be 96 or it can be 99 a format. While in the MX world, standardization has been done. Typically CAM 29 is used for all these services of 56, 27 and 87, while for 26 currently 28 is used in one of the clearing system or some of the clearing system, but we will see how it is getting standardized as the MX world will start with ENI message as well. So let's move to the next slide to see how it is happening in the MT world for request for cancellation. So let's take two example. The first example in the normal flow, we are talking about first two example with the normal without GPI. In first example, intermediary bank has not forwarded to the next bank. So when data initiated, it is still with the intermediary bank. Data sent MT103, it is received by intermediary, they are still processing it. Data requests to cancel it via MT192. They reply back with 196 or 199. Then another flow can be intermediary has already forwarded to the next bank or maybe the creditor bank. Here when you request, you will get the reply as MT196 or 199 that it has been already processed and I do not want to entertain it. Or maybe they can request further to the next bank via MT192 and then you can get the reply as 196 and 199 and then the final reply can be sent back. So that is the typical MT flow. Now there are two things that needs to be highlighted. One is that intermediary typically reject because they want to avoid any further reply in case it is already forwarded. Although depending upon the banks, they can have the different options. But that is what we feel it is happening. Another point is that there is no standardization in the request form. It can be 192, it can be 199 and the reply can be also in the 196 and 199. So these are the two typical problems there. Then Swift GPI come with the solution to make it instant, right? What they say, they do not need to, bank do not need to worry where the transaction is. You request to me or the Swift GPI tracker. So here if you see, the request goes to Swift GPI tracker, and they know because of the GPI tracking capability that where exactly the message is. So they will pinpoint that bank and they will send this request to that bank only. And they will also stop the transaction in the Swift network. If you try to do, it will get rejected. So basically it is ensured even it has moved the next bank and all, it is taking care. Well, in the earlier world, it is a sequential process and takes the time. So the best thing is that this particular flow give you exactly to pinpoint the things using the GSRP product of GPI. Swift is able to cancel the transaction by requesting the bank, and bank has to reply back. Also, they are not allowing the movement further. And also there is SLA concept in GPI in general for all the things. So they insist that reply has to come in the particular defined time. So these capabilities exist currently. Let's see how it will happen in ISO world, or when Swift start using these messages in the CBPR plus. Now let's start with ISO 20022 request for cancellation flow. So we first take the scenario in which it is accept an intermediary bank has not forwarded to the next bank. So debtor will send PAX 008 and they will request using the CAM 56. Intermediary bank can reply CAM 029 as an accept, and finally they will reverse the fund using the PAX 4, in which FOCR will be there as a reason, which means following the cancellation request. Next example will be forwarding request, in which intermediary bank has forwarded to the next bank. Here we are saying that intermediary bank or the next bank, finally the creditor bank will accept it, and that is the scenario. Next will take in which they have not accepted. So PAX 8 will go there, CAM 56 will be requested, but before that PAX 8 has been already moved to the creditor bank. So when CAM 56 will come, intermediary bank will first reply with PTCR that pending cancellation and with a reason that PTNA transaction has been forwarded to the next agent, and they will generate the CAM 56 to the next bank. CAM 56 will reply using the CAM 29 that they are accepting it, and they will generate back the PAX 2 and 2 as well. So when our intermediary bank receive this, they will generate the CAM 29 with CNCL that the cancellation has been accepted, and when we receive the PAX 2, the fund, then the PAX 4 will be generated to debtor bank with reason code FOCR. Now take the example in which it has been not accepted by the creditor bank because of any reason. The customer is not willing to pay back, or because of any reason they do not want to process. So same flow, Paxset goes there, CAM 56 has been requested and sent further to the creditor agent. They reply back with a negative part, CAM 29 with negative. So here earlier that PDCR and PTNA has been sent. Now the final reply will be RJCR plus the customer. Maybe the reason is that customer do not willing to do it. So this is the typical flow in ISO 20022. There can be multiple permutation, but these are the three main highlight of it. Before moving ahead, let's quickly recap what is happening and what are the messages there. So CAM 56 is used for requesting. The request reason can be the customer, technical, duplicate, fraud. It can vary from clearing to clearing, supporting ISO message and over the Swift as well. CAM 29 typically provides three reply. One is rejection, one is pending, one is acceptance. Rejection normally has a reason why I'm rejecting it. Pending also has a reason. I'm forwarded to the next body. I'm waiting for reply. And any additional CAM 29 can happen in that pending case as well. PAX 4 is the same return message, but it normally has FOCR to indicate that it is because of the cancellation request. So that is where we are concluding the request for cancellation for ISO 20022. So for now, bye bye and take care. We will meet in the next lesson. Lesson 9, in which we are going to talk about information which is sent to the various parties or the agent using the MX messages. So here we will first compare the MT and MX, what are the different placeholder to capture this information. Then we will explore them in detail, which is intended for which party, how it is an MT, how it is an MX, and how it will be converted from MX to MT. First we will look for the information to the parties and then to the agent. So let's jump into that. So here we are trying to consolidate the different keywords that are there in MT and MX. So normally information or instructions which are provided by the ordering party or the bank are needed to be sent to the next agent or the final agent or sometime to some party. So let's see that what are the examples available or what are the keywords available. So for consolidation we have taken both MT 103 and 202 for the soft part, and ISO we have taken the PAX 8 and the PAX 9. So let's see MT. Remittance information is there, sender to receiver info is there, instruction code is there, regulatory reporting are there. So these are the four key things which are used. Well, in ISO it is a much bigger list. Remittance information same as SWIFT, related remittance information, instruction for the cater agent, instructor for the next agent, category purpose, regulatory reporting. To indicate which was the previous instructing agent, there is a dedicated tag, local instrument, service level. We will explore them all in detail, but how it is currently happening the thing is either it is not available or as the keywords indicated in the rule books and used by the market with different standard. But the point is it is not directly available, which has been provided by ISO. So let's jump to the next section where we will know exactly how it works and it is intended for which party. So let's start with the information to the various parties. Here we have tried to put it to a tabular form where we have put this information is intended for whom, which party or the agent. In MX how it is treated, in MT how it is there, and in case the conversion is required, what will be the way to do it. So let's start with the remittance information. This is intended for the beneficiary. It exists both in the MX and MT world. In MX there are two types of it. One is unstructured of 140 characters and a structured of 90,000 characters. In MT it is only structured, unstructured allowed. For the conversion you have to use the URI key to put into the tag 70 when you are converting from MX to the MT. While for the structured you have to use the SRI plus keyword and put in tag 70, but it will be just keyword, not the information, just to indicate there was a structured information that has been truncated as a part of conversion. Related remittance information is for the beneficiary as well to understand how the remittance information to be utilized. There are various part of it. One is identifier, which is typically 35 character, and then there is a location detail. This is not in the MT, but in case you have to convert it, you have to use the RELID keyword, which is related remittance information ID. It can be put in the MT tag 70 field. Then there is additional parties like we have, that is normally for the beneficiary and bank to understand it. These parties are ultimate beneficiary, ultimate debtor, instructing institution, intermediary agent. So two are the agent, two are the parties. So suggest in MT world also some keyword like ULTD, ULTB and INS and INT. If it comes for the conversion, you have to use ULTB for ultimate beneficiary, ULTD for ultimate debtor and put in tag 70. While for these agent you have to use INS INT keyword and put into the field 72. Purpose code is another one which is a regulatory one normally expected by the bank for some regulation purpose. In ISO 20022 it is purpose code. In SWIFT it is no fixed field. All the conversion required it has to be convert using the PURP keyword and put in tag 70. End to end is a keyword that has been introduced as a part of ISO and that is intended for beneficiary. The tag is end-to-end ID. If required to convert to MT, which is not existing currently any particular field, then you have to use the keyword as ROC, reference for the ordering customer or reference from the ordering customer, and put into the tag 70. So that is all we intended for the references for the parties. In the next slide we will look for the references for the agents. In this slide we are looking for the similar thing intended to for which party, how it is in MX world, how it is in MT world, what is the conversion rule to convert it from MX to MT. So let's take the very first one, instruction for caterer agent. So which instruction need to go to the final beneficiary bank? Of course, as the name indicates, it is for the beneficiary bank. In MX, it has instruction for the caterer agent which can only have these values: CHQB, HOLD, PHOB, TELB, or structured data can be there. In MT, it is put normally in sender to receiver information, and with the keyword ACC means it is for the final account holding institution. Of course, if we have to convert to MX, we need to use this keyword and put in tag 72. Instruction for the next agent only till the next agent. Then in MX world there is a dedicated tag for it which is 140 character. In MT it is getting utilized with REC. So when you have to convert the MX to MT, you need to use this REC keyword and put in tag 72. Regulatory reporting, it is normally for intermediary bank or any agent to understand and use for any regulation purpose. Tag is there in MX and tag is there in MT as well. MT has a keyword to indicate it is the beneficiary resident with BENRES and orders for the ordering resident. The same used for the conversion from regulatory reporting because they have a dedicated tag for each of them for beneficiary resident and address and to be put into the 77B. Instruction code is for the beneficiary bank, but typically in MX it is two part. One instruction for the caterer agent and one is the category purpose. In MT the correlation is the instruction code which is CHQB, HOLD, TELB and 4. When it is required without any keyword, put the information in 23E, but in case other keyword is received like the category purpose which is can be CURT and INTC in the MT word, then it has to be put with the category purpose keyword in the tag 72. Then there is a local instrument and service level. This is for agents. There is a dedicated tag local instrument and service level. Local instrument, there is no fixed tag or the field in MT. For service level, instruction code is there, SDVA. So when a local instrument required to be converted, you have to use the local INS, LOC INS and put into 72. Service level, if SDVA convert MX and put in 23E, while any other put in 72 or this particular information. So that is all about the various field or the information intended for the agent and the parties. So that is all for now. So bye bye and take care. Meet you in the next lesson. Hello everyone, welcome to the lesson 10 in which we are going to explore the various charge options. So first we will see what are the different charge options and then we will explore each of them. As typical it is three: beneficiary bond charge option, shared charge option, debtor bond charge option. So let's see them in the next slide. So let's start understanding what are the field in MT and MX that helps in managing the charges. So the very first and the key information is instructed amount. This is the amount that the customer has given to us. In MX, the tag name is instructed amount. In MT, it is 33B. Then what is moved in the entered bank space is 32A in the MT world, and in MX it is interbank settlement amount. This is what amount given from one bank to another. The first one was the customer has requested the amount to be given. The third one is about the choice of the charges. What charge option customer want to avail. In MT, it is 71A field that holds it. The values are SHA, BEN, hour, shared, managed by beneficiary, managed by ordering customer. In MX, it is in the charge bearer field and the equivalent are SHAR, CRED, DEBT. Then there is a sender charges in MT world, and in MX world it is the charge information. So you can say typically these two are mixed and created as a single hierarchy layer called as charge information. In MT it was sender charges and receiver charges. Sender charges can be repetitive, receiver charges will be only one. In MX it is one charge information tag that is repetitive, although the rule are there that receiver charge cannot be multiple, although sender charges can be multiple. So these basically hold the information that receiver has how much charge and the receiver big as well. Similarly for the sender BIC and the charge information. So let's look these one by one from SHA, Ben and Hour in the next slide. So here we have shown a typical example in which a debtor agent is sending to the bank, which is debtor bank ABCDDEFF, and he is sending either MT103 or the pax 8. So we'll take both the example with the Ben option and the credit. So the example is that debtor bank is saying I will take the charge of 10 USD, and here we are talking about beneficiary bearing the charge. So not the debtor agent and not shared, it is beneficiary who is managing it. So now the thing is, customer has sent you to forward the $100 and your fees is $10. So what will happen? You will deduce the $10 and forward only the 90. So $90 is getting forwarded interbank space. 33B is what is requested by customer, charge option, and then the 71F. So overall 32A plus 71F is equal to 33B. Now how it will go in the MX, let's see it. So it will have the interbank settlement amount as $90. Interbank settlement date, instructed amount is $100. Charge bearer will be CRED. Charge information will have the $10, and which bank is taking it will be there, that is the receiver bank. Let's see the next case in the next slide. So this is the SHA option. The example is same. Debtor bank has 10 rupees fees, but as the charge option is SHA, this amount cannot be reduced from the transfer amount. So bank will take it and not forward to the next party that what he has taken, because it is his own amount, and will put the 32A as 100 USD, 71 as A as a SHA. If you talk about same in the MX, there is no need of charge information tag, it can be blank. Charge bearer is need to be indicated. Interbank settlement amount will be 100. Instructed amount will be 100 and with the date. So why this amount is not going? The reason is that amount is of no use to the locator bank because they do not use to you. While in the case of beneficiary, it has gone because they need to be aware that why it has been reduced, and they will know the reason because of the beneficiary. The receiver bank has taken some charge, and that's why it has been reduced. Now see the last one, that is the hour. For hour, typically it is divided into two parts. One is called as the normal hour, one is prepaid hour. Normal hour mean that when you are sending the transaction, you are saying that ordering customer want to bear all the charges, and any charges should not be deduced by any other party. So whatever the charge is required, I will pay it and I will give it. But how it will be paid? Because you do not know the charge of other party. So in this case, the claim come into the picture using MT191. So any bank in between or hop will request the amount using MT191, and that will be paid using MT202. Well, in case of prepaid hour, the charge of other party or the receiving party is known, and you can send it upfront. That is also called as G hour. So if you know it, you can advance or pre-deduce from the ordering customer and send it as a part of a transaction message. So normal hour, you can see how it happening. It sent MT103 with hour, then the bank claims it and you send it MT202. For guaranteed hour, this claim will not be required, but let's see how it is in the different message set and information in the next slide. So if we talk about here, hour is with the debt compared. Now the charge of debtor bank is $10, and also let's suppose creditor bank is also $10. So it becomes that overall 120 will be required for doing this transaction. So if he is sending $100, then what will happen in interbank space, 110 will go because other bank or the creditor bank fees it will automatically reduce. Although from customer account 120 will be debited, but that tail information is not required because it is of no use, but hour will be indicated and 71G will be put so that other bank knows that the charges of that is already taken, and when you are getting to the beneficiary you can deduce that one finally so that customer received 100. So this 33B of 100 will be realized in this manner. Now just see this from the perspective of the creditor or the XML ISO 20022 perspective. Interbank will be 110, then instructed amount will be 100 as it is for the customer. Charge option will be DEBT. Charge will be taken 10 and big FI will indicate that it is for yourself, so you can take that particular information. So that is all for now. Hope you are clear with the charges option. So for now, bye bye and take care. Meet you in the next lesson. Hello everyone, welcome to the lesson 11 in which we are going to talk about the reporting message. First we will understand what are the different reporting message, how it is used, and then we will take the customer statement for the SWIFT world, as well as we will take the customer advice, how it is used in MT and MX world. So let's jump to the type of reporting or the statements. First of all, there are three categories typically. One is a statement, report, and advice. These are provided to the next body who you are serving to inform you about the various transactions. So if you typically say there is a corporate customer who is giving instruction by MT101, PN1 or PN8, that will come to the bank and they will do some transaction in it. They will debit the account or they will credit the account. That has to be reply back with this MT 940, 910, 900, 942 or 941 in the MT world. Similarly, CAM 53, 54 and 52 in the MX world. This will also have a transaction which has come from the outside world, maybe as MT103 or the packset. So any incoming transaction or the outgoing transaction, both will be there as a constellation of these in a statement or advices. So let's understand first what are these. So we will see from both the perspective of SWIFT world and the ISO 20022 world. So first is the request message. A bank can request another bank using 910, which is called as request message. The equivalent is CAMP 60, account reporting request. A statement are the example of MT 940 and 950. 940 is typically customer statement, 950 is normally bank given a statement. In MT world, we have CAM 53, which is bank to customer statement. Report 941, 942. 941 is normally balance providing report. 942 is more about providing the inter. Then there is advices, which is 900 for debit confirmation, 910 for credit confirmation. And in advices, we have CAM 54, bank to customer debit or credit notification in the XML. So first understand what are these type of statement, report and advice, and then we will jump to the detailed part of it. So what is the statement actually means? The statement normally should have an opening and closing balance and there should be transaction in between. So you should know that what was the balance earlier and what is the balance now and what are the transaction happen. So for a monthly statement you will be knowing what was on day 1 and what is on the 30 or 31st of it. Normally it is generated end of day or maybe the frequency can be quarter or maybe intraday is also possible. Report are those which are not having the balances and transaction as a combination. They either provide a balance or provide entries. Like 941 is only about the balance at that particular instant. 942 is about the transaction happened in that particular time frame. Report generation normally intraday but can happen in EOD as well. Advices, these are event based scenarios normally generated for transaction as one by one basis, or maybe there can be some scenario of bundling it based upon some reason. Typically used for debit and credit information, but sometime for return it can act as a bundle report to provide the return, or maybe in case only return can be provided by advice while the other can still go in the statement. So let's see in detail two of them. One is a statement and advices in the next slide. So here let's talk about what are the tags and how information are there in the statement messages. In the right hand side we are depicting this currently 940 and 50 and what are mandatory and optional there, and in CAM 53. So if we look on high level, 20 is just a reference to give the for the statement, 21 is related reference, 25 is giving the account on which a statement is generated, 28 is about the statement, 60 is about balance, 61 is about each line of information, 86 is about further detail which is mostly in 940 not in the 50, 62 is the closing balance. Well, if we talk about CAM 53, there is a group header level, then there's a B is the statement level in which balances come. Balance will have the opening balance and closing balance. Entries will be there for each transaction. This is at the as many booking happened on the customer account will be there. While inside that there can be possible, even if one booking has happened as a bundled one, you can still put the transaction as an entry detail. This was something which was not feasible earlier because there was 61 which is only on the statement line. Other than that, some key information is there in the statement is page number, which can indicate if it is a very big statement, then multiple page number can be indicated. For the last page number indicated, it will indicate it is the last or not. The statement number will be same across all the pages because it's a statement number. Account as it was in the 25C. Balance will provide the amount and will also indicate it is opening balance or closing using the OPBD and closing CLBD. Subtype can be there to indicate it is interim balance because of the page number. An indicator will be there, it is a positive or negative balance, CRDT, DBIT. Entry detail was earlier not possible. This feature is now possible in only on the MX, and that's why it is flexible enough that you can get the detail of each transaction. For let's suppose for a big file which is a consolidated booking, but you still want to know what are the transactions there, then this method can be helpful to you. Now next we will see the advices in the next. So MT900 and 910 are depicted here. Typically transaction reference is there, related reference is there, account on which it is generated, what is the amount, what is the currency, and finally the amount debit or credit. Ordering customer will be there for 900. 910 it is optional. Ordering institution, intermediary, and sender receive information. Here it also has in the XML ISO 20022 message group A, B, and the entry detail and the batch and the transaction. So batch and transaction means that if the batch booking has been done, then this record will come as a batch. So multiple record, like if you are getting return of multiple in a day, then you can bundle them and report them. But maybe customer interested to know that what is bundle inside it, then that can be put into the transaction. So let's see some of the key information what is there. Additional information like it is for the return can be captured RTRN keyword. Page number logic will be same if it is bigger than what the buffer size allowed to transport over the network. Then that page number logic last page indicator can be used. Account number will be there. Entry reference is the reference given to entry amount. Credit debit indicator will be there, CRDT, DBIT, as it is only single statement, not like SWIFT in which there's two separate. So there is a need of credit and debit indicator. Bank transaction code will be indicating what type of transaction it is. When bundle booking happens, then this that can be indicated in batch and the transaction can be put there. Currently with CVPR plus, as it is not a bundle or is a single record, so it is not applicable. But that is the capability that is provided by advices, in which you can even put the transaction at which the booking has not happened. So you can put the batch record and you can put the transaction. So that is all for the advices as of now. Thanks for all the sessions and hope to meet you someday to have the more sessions. Bye bye and take Hello everyone, welcome to lesson 12. This lesson is all about the compliance validation. So first we will look what is the definition of compliance validation, what is the scope and demand. Then we will look how it is currently done in MT world and what are the challenges we are facing. Then we will further move to the MX world and we will try to understand that how those challenges has been resolved in the MX with the capabilities that it provides. So let's move to the next slide. So first let's understand what is compliance all about. This is a kind of validation which is done on the various parties in the bank's chain or the fund processing chain. Typically the purpose is to validate that those parties does not belong to some kind of sanction or maybe the part of MLS. This list of validation or the database is typically provided by some of the vendors in which it is mentioned that have they been part of any kind of blacklist. So typically validating the parties in the bank chain or maybe the account which you are opening, the kind of validation is performed on it. There are various type of validation that are done according to the ML compliance. Typically it is done for the two purposes in a bank, although there are additional purposes as well. The first one is the account opening, in which validation is done for your own customer to see that is there any kind of blacklist or the compliance or the AML related issues. If there, then accordingly it has to be taken care. Then the another part is then when some kind of transaction is happening from one bank to another. So whomever is the final beneficiary, it has to be required to do the validation that is it not the part of the blacklist. Similarly, when we receive the fund in a bank, they try to validate the ordering party. As a part of this lesson, we are going to more focus on the fund transfer part uh, because we are mostly looking how it will work in the payment world. So how it has started compliance, let's first understand it. When there are starts getting the problem or some of the cases in which it has been found that the fund is transferred to the bodies or the parties which are not considered as good. So a kind of manual compliance has been established in which bank, whenever transaction comes or whenever they open the account, they try to look up in that database. But that was completely a manual process. Over the time, a practice of manual need to be eradicated because it is a digital world and the time that the manual process takes is a very huge and it is not possible in such a fast moving world. So then the demand for the automatic compliance has come and it is already happening in most of the cases. But the problem verification code as well. So let's suppose and from name it is little matching with any person with not that good name. They can try to provide the passport number or they can try to provide there is typically provided by some of the vendors in which it is mentioned that have they been part of any kind of blacklist. So typically validating the parties in the bank chain or maybe the account which you are opening, the kind of validation is performed on it. There are various type of validation that are done according to the ML compliance. Typically, it is done for the two purposes in a bank, although there are additional purposes as well. The first one is the account opening, in which validation is done for your own customer to see that is there any kind of blacklist or the compliance or the ML related issues. If there, then accordingly it has to be taken care. Then the another part is then when some kind of transaction is happening from one bank to another. So whomever is the final beneficiary, it has to be required to do the validation that is it not the part of the blacklist. Similarly, when we receive the fund in a bank, they try to validate the ordering party. As a part of this lesson, we are going to more focus on the fund transfer part uh, because we are mostly looking how it will work in the payment world. So how it has started compliance, let's first understand it. When there are starts getting the problem or some of the cases in which it has been found that the fund is transferred to the bodies or the parties which are not considered as good. So a kind of manual compliance has been established in which bank, whenever transaction comes or whenever they open the account, they try to look up in that database. But that was completely a manual process. Over the time, a practice of manual need to be eradicated because it is a digital world and the time that the manual process takes is a very huge and it is not possible in such a fast moving world. So then the demand for the automatic compliance has come and it is already happening in most of the cases. But the problem is the data on which the compliance is currently working is unstructured in nature and has a lot of problem. So we will understand that what are those problem in empty world in the next slide. But before moving to it, let's see what are the normal typical case of the compliance validation. When you as a customer or me as a customer send the transaction to the bank in a form of MT101, PN001 or API, it gets received by the payment hub. Similarly, when incoming transaction comes in a form of MT103 or the packset, it is received by the payment hub. So typically this is the box in which transactions are received. Once it is received, then this has to be forwarded. The data of the parties or the purpose code or the identification need to be forwarded to the compliance box, a box which has been given the responsibility to decide that what are the parties which has the problem. They provide the response typically in three forms: hit, no hit, hold. These are the very common term used globally, although they can be different terms as per the different vendors. Hit typically mean that the parties in the chain have some problem and that need to be stopped for the transaction. No hit means there is no match found with any of the global data. Hold means some kind of partial match has been found and it is required that someone should intervene and see it manually are the real hit or not. Because what happened, because of the common name in the geographies, some time or most of the time the hit that has been found is the false positive. So when the manual intervention is done, in 90% of the cases it is found that it is not the real hit. So let's see that how it is happening in the empty world and how this can be further incorporated in the MX world to make the better utilization of it. So first of all, let's understand that what is the scope of the compliance for a transaction which we are doing it currently. So for the MT103, we have taken as a reference example and we are trying to highlight that how the compliance works and also what are the challenges in the MT work. First of all, the compliance work on three main criteria. The first one is the party's name and address. The second one is the purpose of transaction. Third one is the party identification. Party's name and address typically mean that in a normal transaction, typically debtor, creditor, and ultimate debtor and creditor can come. What is happening currently in empty world? Debtor has a dedicated tag as 50k, creditor has a dedicated tag in 59k, but there is no tag or dedicated tag for ultimate debtor and creditor. They are used or provided with some kind of keyword like ULTD, ULTB, but there is no dedicated tag currently present. So that is the first problem. The second problem is that the way it is provided is unstructured. Like normally four lines are provided for name and address, and sometimes it is difficult to understand that which part is the name and which part is the address. It works on some kind of assumption, and even in case name is clear, sometimes it is very difficult to understand that which is city and which is country in it. So for the compliance it becomes a challenge because there is no dedicated tax for the city, country, room, flat, hall and everything. Then the last point is that even if this can be provided in whatever the form in empty, it is never very clear for the compliance system to work upon. So that's what happened, that they take few information and they try to do some kind of partial match, or they try to do some kind of similarity to find it. Then the next thing is the purpose of transaction. This is one of the important thing for the bank or the for regulatory purpose, that some kind of transaction need additional documentation. Like various countries say that if you are sending the fund for the charity, there's some kind of uh, validation or some kind of additional paperwork are required. This information is typically sent in the tag 70, 72 and 23 in the current empty world. There is no standard that it has to be sent in this particular way and it has to go in this particular tag. Every country is adopting in different way. They are suggesting for 70, 72 or 23, and some are very open to it that you can send in any of them with using the code as per. So it is also again a very clear cut demarcation that what is the purpose and how to identify that it is purpose is of which nature.
The third one is because of any problem in the transaction, many countries want to send or many persons want to send their identification code as well. So let's suppose and from name it is little matching with any person with not that good name, they can try to provide the passport number or they can try to provide the resident number. So it will help to the next bank, then they can know that the person who is sending is can be identified using this number. As these are the global thing, it will be still possible to identify them and validate or allow the transaction. But still the way it has provided in 77p is like address, then country, then PALS for passport, and then the passport number. And there is no standard. Some provide the passport, some provide the country resident number, some other things. And this format is also not 100% always same. So when the bank receive, it requires some kind of STP break, and then they try to do the validation and try to understand what information has been provided. So typically compliance system takes these three information: party's name and address, party identification, like this we indicated the passport, and the purpose of transaction. And using these, they try to find that the transaction has some kind of compliance problem and the transaction should be stopped or require a manual intervention. And the problem that we are trying to highlight in the empty world, we will see it more detail in the next slide as well. So let's start with all the problem that we have seen in the empty world. The very first one is the party's name and address. So challenges are the parties do not have, some parties do not have the dedicated tag like the ultimate data. Some parties have do not support the structured address. Some parties support the some kind of a structured address, but that structured concept is not that extensive. So what happened, like the two examples in MT is below, we'll come to that. What MX has done, they resolve the first problem by providing the dedicated tags for each and every party. Debtor and creditor was already existing, they extended for ultimate debtor and ultimate creditor. Parties has been given more clear attribute to support the name and address. Even in the address, a much extensive framework has been provided with the different tags, like for flat number, street number, building number, and country. Each can have a dedicated tag. So in empty world, the address typically look like the first line can have a name, the second can have the address, and the third can have the address line too. And sometimes it is not even clear that which all line is the name and which all line is the address. And to identify what is the country and city, it is beyond the capability of the unstructured empty address. Empty also come with a concept to make it little bit more simplifies, and they call it empty structured address. They say that you can put the name with one slash as a keyword, and in case you want to put the name in two line because the name is a bigger name, then you can use one slash two times, and two slashes for the address line. Any address can be put in a free format manner. Then again you can put the two slash, and if required you can put multiple times. While the last one is three slash, which is country. And this has given some kind of relief because you always know the country, you always know the name. But still the address part remain problem because to identify what is city, what is the street, a clear distinction is not there. What MX has done, they have given dedicated tag for each of them. So name has a dedicated tag, postal address has a dedicated tag, and in the postal address each and every particular point by which the postal address is identified, either the street name or the building name, postal code, town, country, every has been given a dedicated tag and dedicated values can be provided into it. So it has met, this is very crystal and clear for the compliance system. If compliance system is the country, they can pick it from here, they can pick the name from here, they can further do the validation of the street, building, whatever needed. Then coming to the next particular point of the purpose of transaction, the empty challenge, we have seen that it can be put in any of the tag of 70, 72, 23, and normally it is put with the perp and then the some code word. What MX has done, they have created a dedicated tag for it called as PURP, and in CD you can put the different code. The code can vary and can be made standardized as well. Currently many countries are finding it helpful. Already more than 10 countries have adopted it, and the countries like the UK, they have planned to adopt in the recent along with the ISO migration. So this is also becoming one of the standard to provide the purpose. Then the third one is the party identification. We have seen that the party identification can be put in 77p, but there is no very standard rule that which all type of identification is commonly understood, and because of which some uses the ALI, some uses the passport, some uses some other method. But with MX, it has gain a more importance, and they have provided the dedicated tag for some of the commonly known standard party identification like LEI. And what is happening that LEI has become one of the very common trend, and also for this one many countries has already adopted and some are already showing the interest on it. So LEI is a kind of identifier called as legal identifier, and it is a common database from where you can understand 360 view of the bank or the corporate whenever it is needed. Mostly it is used for the corporate purposes. And again, UK is one of the one of the country which has started adopting it as a part of ISO 20022 implementation model. So in short, the compliance has the challenges to do the scan for the name and address, purpose of transaction, and party identification. What MX has done, they have resolved all three by providing a very well structured name and address and an address for all the parties. They provided a well-defined purpose code. They provided a well-defined ALI structure. So that's how it has become a real relief for the compliance. But the compliance system need to absorb it and start doing it in a more proper way. This will sure reduce the STP problems or the break and also the manual intervention. So here, this MX capability has been enhanced to a much wider level in ISO 20022 framework. Thank you all. Bye bye and take care. We will meet in some other slide.
Hello everyone, welcome to the lesson 13 in which we are talking about the differences in MX and ISO 20022. This lesson is very important because many people are trying to mix them and considering exactly same. There are fundamental key differences and we will talk about it, and we will also talk what is the version management in these two message, how we know that which version this is, and we will also understand that what MX is presenting to the world in year 2023. So let's jump to the key differences of ISO and MX. We have tried to present ISO 20022 at left side and MX what are the changes in the right side to just do a kind of comparison. But before jumping to this comparison, just understand that ISO 20022 is a body which publishes all the messages in a standard manner, while MT is the body which is using it and they can do some customization on it. But what are the set of customization that they are currently doing and what are the key nature of it? We will understand the differences here. ISO 20022 publish various message format, but they do not govern that how it has to be used in which scenarios. So typically PAX2 is used for a status report, but they do not say that it is used for only positive or negative. What MX has done, they have taken it firmly, PAX 002, but they have indicated in their guideline that PAX 002 can be used for positive and negative both. And they say that for negative scenario, it is must to be used, while for positive it is optional and the bank can either give it or not give it. It is an optional service. Hope this gives a very high level what we are trying to emphasize that what is the difference. Next, move to the next one. ISO 20022 present the message format with some generic enumerations. Like for the charges, they have the enumeration like credit, debt, SHA, and service level agreement SLEV. But in MX, they based upon their use cases, they have defined it or shortened it further. Like they only support CRED, DEBT, and SHAR. The next one is that ISO 20022 is publishing the incremental version of the message every year. But in MX or any of the clearing, it is not that it will also change the same version which ISO is doing it. They may take it after 1 year or they may take it at later stage also. So they are only bound to take one message version, but not to increment every year. The last one is ISO 20022 try to publish in a manner that it can be used by all the bodies. And because of that, they have mostly the length decided with maximum of it. Typically for the instruction tag, they have made it 35 because that is the need that has been considered in the ever increasing digital world era. While the MX has still restricted it to 16, the reason is they are coming from the empty world where it was 16, and they feel that till the coexistence phase exists, it is suitable to have the same to make the compatibility of the coexistence phase. Maybe over the time it may change, but as of now, this is the difference. We have some more, we will see in the next slide. ISO can publish the message for any of the financial need, like for treasury, trade, and securities. But MX is adopting it in a sequential manner or more organized manner. And currently, they are more focused on payment and reporting message. That's why the term CBPR comes into the picture, cross-border payment and reporting. But they will adopt other also maybe over the time. ISO 20022 messages has been created to support the bulk nature, like for credit transfer PAX 8 and for direct debit PAX 3. They support the multiple record. So in single message, there can be multiple record. While MX has restricted this particular thing for now, and they have said that it will be only single, like for PAX 8, it is single message record. PAX 10, it is also single. Although this restriction is considered as a temporary, but as of now, this is something which is not allowed to have multiple record. ISO 20022 publishes a particular header called as BH or sometimes called also as head 001. This is a standard header that has been provided which can be used on top of any of the message to indicate some of the key information like who is sender, who is receiver or any other information. MX is also using this whatever suggested by ISO, but they are also adding additional top layer on it in the requested header because of their different interfaces like FinPlus and additional need to put some preparatory information. ISO 20022 publish one message format for one scenario only. So for PAX 8, they only have PAX 8. They do not say that this is PAX 8 flavor 1, flavor 2. But considering the MX world, they are coming from the MT in which MT103 has flavor of STP as well and normal as well. And similarly for MT202 cover and normal as well. So they try to give the flavor and to accommodate that they have used some of the particular tag called as business service to provide this thing. So they have same PAX 8 but with multiple flavor like STP and for the PAX 9 cover also. Now we will see how the version are managed in ISO world and the MX world in the next slide. So first of all, have whenever we see the any messages, we see this typical structure. So dot is a kind of dividing them. So typically this is having the four parts. The first part indicates the business domain, which can be a payment domain or can be the cash securities like SEMT and others. Here we have PAX 8, which means the clearing and settlement. The next one indicate what is the message nature like 008 means FI to FI customer transfer, 009 is for the financial institution transfer. 001 is typically a variant. Variant is something a major change in the format. As of now, all the pack series and the payment messages are in 001. It has not changed to 002. Although in the securities, it has been changed to 002 as well. The last one is called as version, which indicate every year change. So whenever the year changes, they changes the version also. So this typically shows how it is structured, the domain, the nature of message, the variant, and the version. Now let's see it with some example. In 2000, we have taken the example of two, one 2019 and one 2009. So first 2009, if we consider, it was called as V02. So it doesn't mean that the version and the year are completely the same. Of course, when it has started, they started with one, maybe in 2008 or somewhere, when the version concept is started, and then there's the 02. If you see, version 02 doesn't mean every version is version 02. It is typically a bundle of the message, and inside that, most of them can be V2, but it doesn't mean all of them will be the V2. Like here, I've just taken some of the key message. PAX 8 is version 2, PAX 4 is version 2, PAX 2 is version 3, PAX 9 is version 2, and there is no PAX 28. Now, if you see 2019, which is commonly used by Swift and also suggested to be used by Target and the other bodies, if you see here, the version has changed for the PAX 8 and version has changed for the PAX 4, and it is now 8 and it is 9, and the PAX 2 it is 10, which is already ahead always from the PAX 8 and PAX 9, and PAX 28 has been introduced recently. So that version is only 3 because it was introduced in 2017 or somewhere else. The thing is what I'm trying to indicate you that we call ISO with two particular way of versioning. We either call version 2019 or we call version 09. When we call 2019, it means we are talking about the year in which it has been published, and when we talk about the version 9, it means that the bundle that we are talking about. But 09 doesn't mean that every message will have the version 09. Some may have, some may not have. So that is the very fundamental key thing that we need to understand in the version management of ISO. Now let's see how the MX is doing and what additional the MX is doing. So first of all, MX has taken the same version concept. They has of course not altered it because they have taken the message, so they have to take the version also. But to manage their own flavors and their own history of the change of the message, they have come with this particular business service, which I'm showing it here, which is Swift CBPR Plus, COV and 01. It has been done for the two purposes. One is to manage the various flavor like the cover, STP and all. And another is of course when Swift publishes the first version, it can be the 01. And over the time, if they find some additional change or some suggestion, they can change it to 02 for that need. So let's understand here the first one, the black one is completely fixed. Although maybe over the time it can change from CBPR plus to some other, but as of now it is fixed. COV indicate the flavor like COV, STP, ADV and other. 01 is the version of the message. So when Swift publish first, it is 01, and if some changes come, it becomes 02, and again the next year or the next release, it will start from 01. So here see some of the examples. Like in ISO world, we have PAX 8 and the PAX 9. But if you see in the MX world, because of the flavor, it has changed. There is a STP flavor and the PAX 9, there is a COV flavor. So it becomes 4 and maybe some more. So this information is scattered in the BAH part of it, that is the header, and we have this in the business service tag. We will next understand the Swift, how they are giving to us the various releases in this year or the next year. Swift is first pushing the first set or release in this year, March 2023, which has been shifted from last year, November 2022 to March 2023. Here we have taken the various messages and the version of it and also try to indicate the areas. I will focus on the areas because going on the message and type will be a much time taking process. So they have first in March, they are coming with credit transfer initiation, and then they have the payment status report, which is PAIN 2 and the PAX 002. They have the R messages for returning of the message PAX 004. In credit transfer, they have taken the PAX 8 and the flavor of it like STP, PAX 9 and the flavor of it like ADV and COV. Similarly, they have other set in the next. They have the settlement and advices, which is basically CAM 60, CAM 52, 53, 54 for various reporting, statement and advice need. Then they have a cancellation process in which you can request for cancel using CAM 56 and other can reply using CAM 29 as a positive or negative response. They have a direct debit, one particular part of direct debit as PAX 10, and then they have the notification message, which is something similar to MT210 in the previous world as a CAM 57. So this is the whole scope for March 2023. Next release will come in the November 2023. I will show the scope of same in the next slide. So once March live goes on, then the November will come into the picture, and whichever the bank has moved on MX, they have to implement the November release also when it comes into the picture. In this one, typically they have introduced direct debit as a key, and they have introduced the PAIN 8 in the customer to bank space or customer instruction space. They have comes with the PAX 3, they have comes with the PAX 10. PAX 10 was also previous, but this is a different version of it, a different purpose of it. That's why the COL keyword is there. And they have come with the cancellation request of CAM 55, which can be used for cancellation of PAIN 1 or the PAIN 8 as well. Another cancellation message has come for the cancellation of the MT210 in the empty world and CAM 57 in the current world. Additionally, they have introduced the check family, three messages, CAMT 107 for check presentment, 108 for cancellation request, and of course the response of it is the CAM09. So this is all to summarize in the form of MX and MX and ISO 20022 world. What are the differences? Hope you get now the better idea of it and you are able to differentiate them well. Thank you. Meet you again in some other session.
Hello, welcome to the new chapter that is the claim management. So in this chapter, we will learn exactly what the claim is in the payment world, how it actually work in the empty world currently, how it is going to be transformed in the MX world, that is ISO 20022 world, what are the challenges in it and what are the solution available for that. So let's deep dive into the session. So let's first understand what exactly the claim management means. So claim management gives a flexibility to the sender of transaction to decide that he want to bear the charge or he want the charges to be beared by the other party, or maybe they want to share it. So typically the claim management comes when the first person, that is debtor, is bearing the charges. So here an example has been shown that there is a team or a company managed by Mia. She has to send some invoice. So Tom requested that let's send me the invoice. Mia said that it's okay, I'm sending you the invoice of $100 for whatever the purchase has happened, but please take care of my bank fees. So what is bank fees? Tom do not know exactly what is the Mia bank fees and how to manage it out. So what he will do, let's understand it out. So what exactly happening here, that Mia is requesting that whatever the charges comes, you need to manage it whoever is sending it. So here the sender is the debtor. So these charges option is called as debtor bank charge. So basically he will send $100 and he will also send in some form either request or directly that additional fees, let's suppose $10. So here we have tried to explain this with an example. So debtor Tom is asking his bank A to send the transaction of $100 as a custom instruction. Bank C receive it, and then bank C find that the charge option is hour or DEBT in the MX world. He requested $10 from him in case he do not hold the account of bank A, or he can give the advice that I have already reduced $10 because that is a charge of it. In case of request for the charges, the next step is paying the fees of $10 by the bank. Now let's go and deep dive into what are the complications and permutation for the scenarios in this case. So here we are talking about the first case in which we are saying that empty a world we are talking, and here the kind of scenario is advice for the charge. So here we have taken a case in which bank A, that is a bank of debtor bank, and there is a bank C called creditor bank. So creditor bank C is holding the account of bank A. So what will happen here, when he will receive $100, he will directly ask that I have not received uh, the $10 from you as a charge fee. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to deduce additionally $10 from your account, and he will inform this information in a form of advice of charge, which is MT 190. So here he is directly deducing and informing only. This information is more from reconciliation purpose, and of course for matching the things and informing the creditor or further reducing $10 from the creditor account. Then comes the next scenario. So here what we are doing, that there is another case of request for charge. So there can be cases in which banks is not holding the Vostro account, rather bank A is holding it. So here in this case, of course, bank C cannot deduce the $10. So what he will do, he will send a request for charge in form of MT 191. When this is received by the bank A, he will send it in a form of MT202 as a $10. So this is a kind of a request phenomena rather than directly deducing and informing it, that what we have seen in the case 1. Now let's deep dive to the subsequent case of intermediary scenario as well. So here we are saying that there is a bank A, there is a bank B in between, and there is a bank C in between. And bank C is holding the bank B account while bank A is holding the bank B account. So the custom instruction flows from bank A to bank B. Bank B credit the account of the bank C or inform him that this amount has been received. Now bank C say that I need additional $10. Then they will send the advice for it. And bank B when receive it, he said that I'm going to forward it, but I need to take my charges as well. So he added $15 of it. Now there's two charges. One is $10, one is $15. So bank C has deduced and informed bank B, but bank B do not hold the account of bank A. So he need to request both the amount from bank A using the method request for the charges in a form of MT191. When this will be received by bank A, he has to forward it in a form of MT202, and here both the amount will come. He will get credited, and the charge scenario gets sorted out in this manner. So here we have seen there are two cases of who is holding the Vostro, and here the scenario is either request of charge or advice of the charge. Now let's go to the MX world to understand how it happens. So here we will see first the case of MX advice of charge. So as such, nothing is changed. We have taken the exactly same scenario to explain it in a very simplified manner. The only thing that is changing is here the transaction a message, that is a pack set in case of ISO world. And when this has been claimed or advice has been sent here in the case in which bank C is holding the Vostro account, he just want to inform advice of charge, and he is using CAMT 105. Now let's go to the second case of request for the charge. So in request for the charge, the scenario is same. The only thing is that here the message used in place of 191 is CAMT 106, and it has to be paid by the PAX9 message as $10. So exactly same step, the message changes and everything remains same. Now come to the next case of intermediary. Here we have taken the exactly same case what we have informed in the empty world. So nothing is changing. The only thing is that in place of MT 190 105 has come here, and subsequently MT 191 106 has come. So all remaining process remains same in MX. Typically the message format has been changed. As such, value remains same, the process remains the same. Now we will go and see what are the challenges and solution that has been given to overcome the claim management problem. So now let's understand what is the challenges. As we have seen, in case of claims, the charge is not very well known to the debtor bank. And then there is a step of either sending the advice or either requesting the charge. So typically the transaction doesn't end at the very first level when you have sent it. Rather, there is additional step of requesting or informing. So there is a friction in the flow, which either need manual intervention sometime it is a two-step process. So that's the main fundamental problem. The friction comes into the process of payment flow. Let's understand the second scenario, which is called as transparency. So as you have seen, depending upon number of the bank in the chain, the charges changes. We have taken the case of $10, then we have taken the case of $25. One bank asking 10, another 15 become 25. There can be also cases in which different banking routes are used and the charges become different, sometime 10, sometime 15. So this causes a problem because debtor do not know exactly what is happening. The bank is saying that you have to pay $25, sometimes they're saying you have to pay $10, and he really doesn't know how this is going to be uh, used to pay to the next party. So there's a problem in clarity that how it is happening. And also sometimes this problem is for the bank because they are always interacting with the next bank. They do not know exactly how much they are claiming. And sometimes based upon the forex also, this charges also changes. So there is a big problem of transparency. What is paid, who is asking, these questions always remains there. Then there's a last question of conflict. What happened that in many of the cases, because of less transparency, there is a conflict. When the debtor bank asked debtor, they said that earlier you have asked me $10. Now in this case, you are asking me 25, although I'm doing the similar type of transaction. Then they explain it, and this becomes the reason of conflict. So there's three things: friction, transparency, and conflict that needs resolution, and there are various tools in the market to understand the same. The first one is that it is said that do not use at all the hour option. Go for the SHA or the shared fees. This is mandated by PSD in the countries of Europe, not at the whole globe, but European Economic Area mandate using the PSD2, and that's why this conflict doesn't come. Debtor pay their charges, creditor pay their charges. This is always clean. Then there come the prepaid charge option, which is prepaid hour, in which it is said that debtor bank better ask the charge upfront from the creditor, and he send the charge amount along with the transaction. So in place of 100, he send 110 because he know upfront the charge. But this has some constant because all the banks are not equally available to give this information because of their own infrastructure thing or their own complications. They are not easily available. Then the third solution comes into the picture, which is an API format, which is provided with the SwiftGo. This is something which is getting up the market now, and it will be maybe a leading one, or maybe we'll see over the time how happens. So SwiftGo is basically providing a framework where all the banks are connected in the API, whichever follow the SwiftGo. And they try to ensure that this information is upfront available, typically using the prepaid hour concept only, but it is upfront managed by Swift. So more practical thing to give the information upfront is available. So in this case, this will be provided upfront and the conflict conflict or transparency or friction problem will not come. Now let's try to understand that at the time we are publishing this video, we are still to make the go live of the claims in the year November 2024. But the thing is, after November 2024, it will be mandated for those banks who have already migrated to CBPR to use this message of MX, that is CAMT 105 and 106, while those banks who are empty can still use MT 191 and 190. But after 2025, they all have to migrate, and this is from where MX will be the mandatory thing. So that's all what I intended to showcase here. Thanks. Meet you in the next chapter. Hello everyone, welcome to the lesson 15. In this chapter, we are going to learn about hybrid address. So we will understand what it is, why it is, and when it will become into the effect. Then we will understand the timeline for same, and then we will understand how and which all bodies are going to adopt it. So let's jump into the session. First of all, let's understand what is different address type available. So as we know, currently there are two type of addresses available, that is a structured and unstructured format. For starting this chapter, it is important that you give a look in the chapter of compliance where we have discussed how the structured address has been introduced in ISO 20022 and how it is implemented. Now the question is, the Tom is asking that what are the different addresses here? And he said that I know a structured and unstructured format only. Then Mia said, no, Tom, you are correct, but something is going to change and a new format called hybrid address is coming. So the question is, what is hybrid? As the name suggests, it is something mix of both structured as well as unstructured address. So let's understand different aspect of it. So first of all, hybrid address is a kind of address in which minimal country and town, that is the structure element, need to be there, and additionally two line of address is allowed. So if you see, typically it is a mixing of unstructured element with country and the town. Why it has been added? The point is that as the structured address has been introduced in the March 2023 by Swift as a part of CBPR, many have said that it is something a challenging because of country's nature of address, or because of still the core database or the banking database is not up to that level. So the new aspect comes, what is the most important in the structured element? And the answer is country and the town. So the proposal is to use the country and town as always, and then give whatever the element in address line 1 and 2. This is something that will come effect sooner, and it will be long lasting till the time it should be. So the point is, over the time we will stop unstructured after November 2025. We will keep following the structured address in which there is no address line, and additionally hybrid address format will also take place for various agent and parties. Now let's see in the next section when this timeline is start and how these element looks like. So first, let's understand what are the different address type we have. As we know, MX had introduced this format, a structured format, in which you can give the postal address in a form of a different structured tags, like a street name, building name, postal code, town, and country. So this format has been introduced in March 2023. It is continuing and it will be continuing as always. So this is something which is more preferred way what the Swift and the different bodies are saying is required. Now let's look at two other format, that is unstructured format and the hybrid format. So if you see unstructured, typically it is the address line, and when we say unstructured, it means that it should not have any structured element like country and the town. This format is something which Swift doesn't support or say that it should be decommissioned over the time. Currently it is getting used, but it is not suggested approach. So from the March 2023 when the MX has come, it has been available. It is continuing till November 2026, but after that it has to be stopped. Now the new format which has come, hybrid, which has at least town and country as structure element as mandatory, and additionally address line 1 and address line 2, each can be of 70 character. It is currently not available, but it will get enabled from November 2025, and all the banks who either send or receive need to support it.
Basically, if the bank want to give this format, then they have to support the outgoing, but minimal they have to support the incoming, because any bank can use it whoever is on the MX1. And as I said that it will be continued over the time. So the intention is that after November 2025 and November 2026, the format that will be in system is either structured or hybrid format. Now let's see which all parties and agents get impacted and which all clearing system is going to adopt it. So the very first question that comes is, this has been introduced by the SWIFT. Will it remain only for SWIFT? The answer is simply no, as Europe is one of the support body for whatever the things that comes, and maybe there you can say that it is more of a body which emphasizes the need of these things. So Europe regulate the things. So of course, other clearing of the Europe like the SEPA and Target will also be there. Regulation is already in place. It is in the adaptation phase. Sooner it will be available. While the question from the bodies are that will it be supported by other clearing like Swiss SIC, UK CHAPS or any other local format. This question is very difficult to answer here. Seems it will come, but how quickly or how much time it will take, that is something to be seen or observed by us. But of course, this is something that is more going to be adapted than complete structured. So maybe hybrid will become a better norm than the structured as a whole. Now let's see which agent and which parties support structured and unstructured currently, and what will happen after November 2025 and November 2020. So the question is, which all bodies support which all format. So a structured format, hybrid format, and unstructured format. These are the three format. So where this all can be ticked is applicable for data agent, previous instructing agent 1 to 3, intermediary agent 1 to 3, cater agent and cater. So for them all three are applicable currently, but of course after November 2026 unstructured format will not be used, so only two will remain. Now, if we talked about three parties, initiating party, ultimate date, and ultimate cater, when the MX CBPR has been introduced, at that time itself, unstructured for these has been stopped. So currently, it only support a structured format, but over the time, hybrid format will be also supported. Here it is interesting to see that what role hybrid will provide if a structured is already used. The answer is many of the bodies start not using it. Many of the bodies seems that they are skipping the information because they do not have a structured format available. But hybrid will give the flexibility to add the unstructured data along with the structured element of town and country. So this is all about different address format and how the hybrid will change the overall way this element is used. For complete view of different address element, you also have a look on compliance and this together. Thanks everyone. We will meet in the next session.
Hello everyone, welcome to this particular session in which we are going to talk about the structure of one of the particular message in ISO, and we have taken example here as the package. So before that, let's see how the MT is a structure and how the MX or in the CBPR plus it is a structure. So on right hand side we are talking about MT103 and in the left hand side we are talking about CBPR plus package. So if you see typically in MT it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blocks. First one is application, first one is the basic header. The second one is the application header. The third one is the user header. And the fourth is the text block in which the content of the message, and the last is trailer. Basic header is typically used to indicate that it is a financial message or it is ACNAC. 01 indicate financial message and ACNAC is 21. Then sender of message, user session. In the block 2 we have receiver of the message, priority of the message, message type, and what is input or output the SWIFT. Then in user header we have indication of service level, that is like example TGT, which means target 2. So 103 block indicate what is the service of it, 108 indicates what is the MUR which is used for reconciliation,
119 indicate any sub flavor of the same message, like 103 it can be STP. Block 4, it is the content of the message. Block 5 is trailer, which is mostly for the checksum or possible duplicate cases. So if we come to the left hand side, in which we are going to focus more, Swift put one header that is called as request header. It has typically these fields, which is requester, responder, service, request type, and request subtype. So first two is sender and receiver. Then message type and subtype is typically used for these type of things, in which like the STP or the cover or the EU flavor and all. This will come here. Then there is a request payload, which is a standard in general for the ISO message, having the head on top and the packset in the bottom. So typically every message will have the head on top of it, which is called as business application header, in short for BH also we call it out, and in the bottom it is called as document or more of a business data. So we will go deep dive and see the things, but one last thing to compare, in the 5 block and the last block of ISO can be compared because they also have a signature and trailer. So this is just to give you the overview. Now we will jump to the actual message and see how it can be compared. So as you can see again here on the right hand side we have put the MT103 message, and on left hand side we have put the PAC008. So typically you can see the data is something like that. Sender is A bank, the receiver is B bank. UETR is there in the part of header, block 20, 23B, 22A, all these informations are there. So we will take some part of it and try to compare how it looks in the packset. So typically the packset and CBPR will have one head message that we have talked, like head 001. That is the application header actually. This is the head 001 message as currently I have highlighted it. So this will have indication of who is sending it. So from tech indicate my bank who is sending it, and to is the one who is receiving it. Typically in case of Swift it will be the two banks, while in case of the clearing system the two can be the clearing house. It has other information like message identifier, which is basically a reference number. Then message definition is the message number and its version and the variant inside it. Creation date is on which it has been done. So now let's close this one and move to the other part of it. In document there will be either the custom instruction, or in case of PIN, PAX9, the PAX9 information. Also here we have taken the FI to FI customer credit transfer information. So if we expand it out, it typically have credit group header and also the child detail inside it. Group header is more about the header details. It has two records inside it. In CBPR Plus, typically two records are not allowed currently, only one, but in ISO it is allowed. That's why you see there are two records of credit transfer transaction information. So we will take first one and then compare with it. But before going to that, let's see what is the group header. It has typically these informations. Message ID is unique number, which has to be same as it is in the application header. It needs to be the same. If you just see this talk, I'm talking about this message header. Then there is a creation date, number of transactions, as there were two records, that's why it is coming to. Control sum is just the sum of amount to indicate or maybe used for any of the validation that it is consistent or not. Total amount and instructed amount, instruction date is there. Then instructing agent, these are the two banks, one bank who is sending and it is for which bank. So it will be always two bank. Even in the clearing cases it will be your bank and the other receiving bank. Now let's see further detail of the record inside it. So if you see record inside it, the very first information that I would like to highlight is the payment ID. So payment ID has typically 4 information on high level. It can also have the clearing ID, but let's talk about these 4 first. So instruction ID, end-to-end ID, transaction ID, and UETR. So UETR is also in the MT1 world. Transaction ID and end-to-end ID is the customer provided reference number of 35 character that has to be given by customer and has to be unique. Although end-to-end ID is typically mandatory, instruction ID may or may not be given. Transaction ID is which the debtor bank or the bank has generated it. That can be typically compared with tag 20 in the MT103 board. Now let's move to the other tag. We have the payment information in which priority is there, which can be normal or urgent. Here we have taken example of normal. Then we have the interbank settlement amount, which is 400 euro. So it says that final settlement is 400 euro. All the instructed were 450 overall. So what happened to 50? There is another field called as charge information and charge bearer. Charge bearer is for the purpose to indicate what is the nature or who is going to pay it. So credit here means it is beneficiary obligation to pay the charge, which can be compared with 71A in MT1031. Charge information gives you clarity that how the charge has been taken, like euro 50 has been taken and it was taken by the bank A. Now let's move to the next information. Data, you will be able to see the detail, the name and all the structured address like a street name, building number, postcode, town name, city, all can be put. While in the MT, it is not that structured, it is simple plain format, although MT also support a structure, but not to that much granular level. In MT, it can be country and some basic fill, but in MX, it is very much detailed. Then let's see the other part of it. Debtor account is what account here compared with 50K. Debtor agent is the bank code, is our own bank code. Creditor agent to whom we have to send it. Creditor, of course, it can be having in the form of a name and address, like here in the 59 tag. Then we have the creditor account. This can be IBAN. If it is IBAN, it will be indicated in the IBAN tag and it can be compared with the 59 tag of it. Then next we have the purpose of transaction. So SALA indicate the salary. So purpose can be indicated in one of the field. Then we have remittance information, which can be compared with tax 70. So here you see there is nothing like structured information. It has to be all either put by some separator or some form of slash or some indicator. While here in the MX it supports the structure. So this is the keyword which indicates, and it is some CICV and there is a number and there is a particular date. So a structured information has been put there. So typically if we see, this is how the overall message has been bundled. If I would expand all of the important one, the group header is this one, the app header is this one. Just to recap quickly, the app header looks like this, which is more about header information, who is sender, receiver, type of message, creation date and message definition. Then there is a group header which has a unique message ID for any purpose of duplicate validation and some content validation based upon number of transaction and control sum. Then it has the instructed agent and instructing agent. Then in the creditor information, it is all the content which can be typically compared with the block 4 of the message. So this is all about comparing to MT103 and PAX008. Just to indicate, MT message is not completely equivalent in the MX. Just to give you example, there is no bulk format available as of now. But in future, if it gets available, there will be a little bit change to support more tags. So that is all for now. Meet you again in some other session. For now, bye bye and take care.
Hi everyone. This is the session in which we will deep dive for the message PAX 009 core. This is equivalent of MT202. So in the left hand side you see the scenario. We are moving the fund from the bank A, which is debtor, to the debtor agent, which is bank B, and then the bank C, which is intermediary agent first, then the intermediary agent second is bank D, and finally to the creditor agent, which is bank E, and then finally reaching to the creditor. So it's a set of banks, and that's why the MT202 or the corresponding PAX 9 core message is used. So if you see on the right hand side, we have sender and receiver. As we are taking this scenario from bank B to bank C, this will move in this manner, and then we have UETR, which will be used to send as a tracking message. Then we have 20 reference, 21, 32 as the amount, 52 as the debtor itself, 56 is intermediary, and then 57 is the beneficiary agent, or called as the creditor agent in the ISO world. Then 58 is the beneficiary. 72 has three information. With ACC keyword, it has to reach to the creditor agent itself, that is account with institution. INT is for the next agent, that is the bank C, and BNF is for the last bank, that is the beneficiary, which is the bank F in our case. Now let's see how this translate here in the ISO 20022 PAX 9 core message. So from in application header and from tag has the bank B, and the to tag has the bank C. The biz reference is the same as the tag 20. Then the PAX 9 is indicated here, and the version of PAX 9 is indicated here. As it is the core version, there is nothing flavor here. And then the creation date. Then the next part will be in the group header, where we will have the message ID, which is same as tag 20. And then we have settlement method, which will be remain the India and Inca based upon which bank hold the account at which place. Now the next part is about the instructing agent which we are sending from bank B. So it is the bank B, and after that will come the instructed agent which is bank C, and then the intermediary which will be the bank D. The bank D is here, which is acting as the intermediary before the cater bank. And then we have the debtor agent which is bank B, that is the here, and then we have debtor as the bank A, and then we have the cater agent which is bank E here, and then we have the creditor. So if you see all these maps, banks are maps in this manner under the financial institution BKFI. Then there comes the additional remittance information part, which is as below in the bottom. So the very first information is called as instruction for the cater agent. This instruction need to reach to the cater agent, that is the bankee. Then we have instruction for the next agent, which is from bank B, it will reach bank C, and this instruction for the next agent is mentioned here. And the last one is the remittance information, which means this instruction need to reach the last bank, that is the bank F, under the remittance information. So instruction for the cater agent is for the last bank which hold the account of the beneficiary. Instruction for the next agent is for the intermediary one, and the last one is for the final bank. This is how the mapping of 202 happens in the ISO 20022 PAX 009 core message for this scenario in which A, B, C, D, E, F, six banks are involved. That's all for this session. Thank you. Hello everyone, welcome to the deep dive session in which we are exploring MT202 cover, which has equivalent in ISO 20022 world as PAX 9 COV. If you see, the scenario is on the left hand side. Here there is a person called A which is sending to money to person F, and there are four bank in between: the debtor agent, cater, and cater agent. In terms of MT103 or the custom instruction, the first bank will be called as debtor agent because it holds the account of debtor, and it will be intermediary, the next bank, intermediary agent, second next bank, and the cater agent. But if you talk about MT202 or MT PAX 9 cover perspective, the persons are not counted. So they start with the first bank, and that is become the debtor, and the next bank, debtor agent, the next bank, which here in this case is holding the account of the last bank. So it will call as cater agent and cater. So you see the term a bank acting as cater in 202, while in MT103 it is cater agent. So that is the main difference. Because of the bank, the terminology changes. Now see, in the right hand side we have 202 cover mentioned here, and we have also tried to show MT103 here. So as we are sending from bank B to the bank C, which is from Swedish bank to the French bank, it is bank B to the bank C, then UETR. 20 is the reference number which is generated for 202, that is the cover case, and 21 is the reference number which has been taken from 103. So this is the 103 message which has beneficiary 59 here and ordering here. Then there comes 52A, which is the bank B from where we are sending, and 57 is the bank which is holding the account, that is the cater agent in this case, and 50A is the last bank, that is the bank E, which is the act as beneficiary. While in MT202 cover, there is two additional part which is called as sequence B or underlying payment. It is the first is the ordering customer, which is the Rod Mike, and there is a 59F, which is the beneficiary, which is the Tom Hank. Now let's see how this is shown in PAX 9 cover message. So application header is same, which is from one bank to another, that is bank B to the bank C. And then there is a biz reference, which is the same as the tag 20 of it. Then there is a PAX 9, as it is a different flavor. You will see the COV is indicated here. And let's move to the next part of it, which is the main message document part. So in group header, there is a message ID, which is again same as tag 20 of 202 cover. And then there is INDA INCA based upon what the relation the bank has. Then there comes the reference number. The first instruction ID is the unique reference number, which is same as tag 20. And end to end is the original of MT103, and then the UETR will come into the picture. Then further instructing agent will be from the bank, sender bank, that is the bank B. And then we have the next bank, which is instructed agent, that is the bank C. And then we have the debtor agent. In this case, the debtor agent will be the bank C, not the bank B, because this is the from the bank perspective. That's why it will be the bank C. And then there is a debtor, which is our first bank. Then we have the creditor agent, which is the bank D, and then we have the creditor here. If you see, there is further underlying payment also, which is called as underlying customer instruction. So this is actually equivalent of sequence B, that is an MT202 cover, and it has the parties of ordering and the beneficiary part, which is in ISO is the debtor and creditor. So it is the debtor part, which is Rod Mike, and his name and address and account number, and then debtor agent is also there, for which what was the debtor agent? It was the bank D from this perspective of MT103. So that is the bank B that has been put here. And then the same way, there is a cater agent, which will be the bank E in this case, because we are seeing from the PAM MT103 perspective. So that's the case. And finally, the cater is the Tom Hank in this particular case. So this is how it gets converted from one format to another. The most important part is calling of party. When we see from the bank perspective, that is MT202 and Pakistan cover message, the first bank comes into the picture is called as debtor, while from MT103 that bank is debtor agent. Same for the last bank is the creditor for the MT202 and Pakistan COV, while for MT103 it acts as the creditor agent, and the creditor is the last one. That's all for this session. See you in the next session.
Hello everyone. I would like to first thank you all for being patient and come to the end of the course. So here I would like to introduce myself in a very small word. Myself is Shahid Ali and I am just like you, a person who likes payment and want to talk about it throughout the day and night. In this session or in this course, I tried my best to collate various part of the ISO 20022 and give you a complete picture of it. So finally, at the end of the session, we want you to evaluate yourself, whatever you have learned. So in this evaluation, you have 45 questions. There's a time limit and there is a minimum percentage that you have to pass it out. So total question is 20, 10 and 15, that is 45. 20 is from the same set of question which you have already given before. 10 is something new which you have not given the question but exactly from the lessons. And finally, 15 questions are those which are not in the lesson, not in the quiz. It is something outside of all the lesson that we have talked about. The intention is that you should learn or try to do little research around it. So overall, we can evaluate yourself better. So finally, just do this 45 questions and hope you will be able to enjoy the session overall. So for now, bye bye and take care and meet you in some